Yes.
from certain age,
Yeah.
if they get them on
The practice with psychological problems, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. That's the question.
But because he's a man more than woman,
Women, yeah.
I always thought woman more than man.
Okay.
Yeah, to hear that is shocking.
Wow.
Yeah, it's shocking because men don't talk always about their problems.
Yes.
They swallow the stuff.
We play tough.
So that's why I think women talk too much, talking, they like to go to the doctor whenever they feel like.
Yeah.
And men always say, why are you going to the doctor so often? That's why it was shocking to me.
Yeah.
But then I know, but something about the children.
Children, yes.
From a certain age, if you get the children also on the practice.
Okay. Okay. Bye-bye. Okay. Bye-bye.
Well, in our practice, we used to actually, we still at this moment, next year is going to be different, but we saw patients from 16 years old until, I think my eldest patient is 81, so I also have, there's a big difference between this, but we don't see children below 16. Yeah, I do see people from 16, 17 who also have suicidal thoughts. Yes, and I think it's just as adults, I think it's very strange, and they don't. First of all, they think it's a taboo for them too, and when they talk about it, I mean, when they hear. Actually, there's a really good example now to give them is that you've seen the Olympics in Sochi, and there was. Stefan Groothuis, he won the gold medal, I think, on the 1500 meters or 1000, I'm not sure. And he was very depressed last year, very depressed. And I saw an interview with him, and he had suicidal thoughts, constantly these thoughts. And he went to a psychologist in the end, and the psychologist told him, a lot of people have suicidal thoughts. And then he was relieved. He said, like, I thought I was the only one. So, okay, I had to give that example. I give that example sometimes to patients. But we don't see patients below 16, but there are, of course, a lot of good instellingen for these patients too. But in general, because yesterday I was doing some research, and below 16, 15, there aren't a lot of suicides among very young children.
So in your practice, you don't have that many children?
No.
That she wanted to establish?
Yeah, no, we don't.
Okay.
I think it's a specialization on itself. I think it's a very big difference between treating an 8-year-old or an adult. I think it's a big difference, and I think it's good that it's separated.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah, question, go ahead.
Yeah. From your practice, are there people you have counseled and they still went ahead to commit suicide?
If I ever had a case where someone commits suicide,
yeah,
I never had. I had situations where there. I think I've been working now for 4 years. I think I had around 10 times a situation where
you rescued them.
Where someone was
rescued.
Yeah, I had once a patient who even came to my practice, and he in the morning he tried to commit suicide, but he said, "Let me go to my last appointment to my therapist." So he came to me, and I noticed because I saw something, I won't say, but I saw something, and I asked him, what is that? And he said, I tried to commit suicide. I said, okay. And then I called the crisis intervention team, I took him there, and then they treated him there for a few days, and he was stable again, and he came back to me. But this happens, yeah, it happens. I had a patient who told me she went to the railroad track to commit suicide. Yeah. She didn't do it, and when she told me, she was very afraid when she told me. She said, like, yeah, how can I do this? And I said, thank you for telling me, because now you're telling me your real thoughts, what you feel, what your pain is, and now we can do something about it. Because she never said this. I had her in therapy. I asked her even, do you have suicidal thoughts? She said, no, I don't. And she said it in a really casual way. She said, like, 2 weeks ago, I went to the track at 5 o'clock, and said I wanted to commit suicide, but I didn't do it. And of course, later I started asking, what made you not do it? Yeah, I love my sister, I love my sister. Okay, so we used that. Like, okay, so you want to be closer to them, because she was a bit
Distant from her.
distant from her sister. So let's see, what can we do? She wanted to go back to school. I said, okay, what do we need to do for this? We checked. I called schools with her. I mean, I was, again, not only me in the beginning. In the beginning, I start and I do suggestions and I say, okay, I can call. And then I say, you call. And, you know, you see them, they start to get hope again. But I'm fortunate, I never had a suicide in my caseload, but a lot of my friends who are psychologists or in our practice, it never happened since I worked before. I don't know. I think Meneer Cohen once told me that he never had a suicide case in his practice. He told me. So, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. It happens. It happens. Yeah. Also, people are in treatment.
Okay.
You made mention of 81 year being the oldest among those. 81?
Yeah, 81 is my oldest patient.
So how could somebody of that age think about committing suicide?
Oh, she wasn't. It wasn't. I was just mentioning that that she's a patient. She's not thinking of suicide. No, but I do have patients who are in their 70s who think about suicide. Yes, yes. It's because at that age, for example, I have some patients. They worked their whole life. They were very successful. They had good jobs. People who were had big jobs they came from Suriname to work, for example, for a big company in Holland. They had great lives in Suriname. They tell me about fishing and cutting trees and whatever. Great stories. But they came here and they got to their pension and they didn't have anybody who visited them anymore. And it became less and less and less. And they were only thinking about, back in Suriname it was great. And sometimes they go back to Suriname, but things also change there. It's not that, I mean, they talk about 50 years ago, and then they think like, I have nothing to do for her anymore, and then we're gonna see, okay, what's necessary. In Zuidoost we have a lot of things, like people who have cooking courses, or people who go, I have patients who go to valcursus to learn how to older people to fall and not break legs or whatever, and they don't go there just to learn that, they go for the social contacts and to have people around them. I think that's very important. So it happens also to people who are 80. I mean, not this particular patient of mine, but others. Yes, it does. It does, because they get so isolated.
Yes. So isolation is a big problem.
Yes.
Everywhere and among all people. So we all should try to avoid that. If you don't have a friend, get up and go to the church. You meet people, you see people dancing and singing, and you get caught up with that. Otherwise, go to the football stadium. If you can afford it, go. Make yourself happy.
And it doesn't have to cost money, because in Zuidoost there are a lot of things that don't cost money. To church you can go without money.
You don't have to pay.
And from the church they organize things, and let's do this, and even with the problems. Some people have debts, and I hear I have patients who bring their pastor to my therapy. They bring. I say, bring people, because it's also nice to involve people in the treatment. The more people there are, I mean, it's the better, because I see them 1 hour per week, but these people can
see
also
them.
Visit them, and they see them more often.
Yes.
And I involve them, and I explain to them, like, you can do this, you can do that. I mean, it's very important. Very important.
Now, you spoke about crisis prevention. I want you to talk about some of the prevention measures available to keep people from taking their lives.
Yes, prevention. Well, I think to prevent, I mean, there are a lot of programs where they're trying to see what the risks are. So I think if you see someone who's very isolated, you're going to build a social network around that person.
Stay closer to your microphone a little bit.
Sorry.
Closer to yourself.
Sorry. Like you build a social network around them before they become. You can let's say if you have in your neighborhood, people make aware could be through media, for example. They say if you have an elder person, or it doesn't have to be an elder person, it can be anyone who's very lonely, start visiting him. It doesn't mean that he has to have suicidal thoughts at that moment, but if you see that someone is getting a bit or neglecting himself, ask him, like, how come you're a bit neglecting yourself? How come you have a depression? And this is the prevention, to make people aware what they can do. I mean, I think in some countries, when you see a person on the street who's behaving very oddly and who's falling and stuff. In some countries they think, oh, this is, I'm scared of this, I don't want to go there, it's his private, it's his situation. And I think in the Netherlands we're starting to create a society where we think like, maybe we should take this person, ask him, are you okay? And it doesn't always help, because Dutch people are in general sometimes also a bit like, oh, this is my private thing. And I think, for example, I learned this a lot in Zuidoost. I think you're a real close community, and you watch after each other. I think, that's preventing to see, okay, how are you doing? Ask your neighbor. If you haven't seen her out, she's walking the dog every day, you haven't seen her for a few days, say, hey neighbor, how are you? What's going on? And I think this has to do with prevention, and also with prevention has to do that they, for example, say to psychologists, they gave them a nascholing, after you're already working. Yeah, they tell you, for example, pay attention to this. Ask more of your patients if they have suicidal thoughts. I mean, 10 years ago it was probably not normal to ask every patient, do you have suicidal thoughts? Nowadays, I mean, I've been taught it's normal to ask. And it's the same, and it's another example, but with sexual problems. It used to be a taboo. People didn't talk about it. I think now in therapy we can ask. I ask my patients. Yes, sometimes they are a bit like, oh, I don't ever want to talk about it, but I ask. And if this becomes more normal, and you can ask people about suicide all the time, it's also, you're preventing things to keep, that they're not keeping it to themselves.
Okay. Well, so does that cover all the prevention measures which are available to people institutionally as well?
What do you mean? Is to
help people to prevent them from
I think the website I talked about, the 113online.nl, it's fully for prevention. You have information for people, for me and you, if we have someone around us who you think or talk to you that you have suicidal, that has suicidal thoughts. I think it's very difficult to go to your general practitioner and say, listen, you can do this of course, but to say, my friend talked to me about suicidal thoughts. The doctor will say, maybe he doesn't know what to do with it. But at that website, you can say that. You can say, my friend told me you have suicidal thoughts. What do you think I should do? You have information about it. A lot of information about prevention, what to do, like exercises you can do. I mean, a lot of the information I'm telling you now, it's all on the website. You can easily find it there, and you can take your time, and you can chat with someone directly. You just click one button, you chat to them, and you say, oh, okay. And I think, of course, if there's a depression, and you should go to your general practitioner and say, I have depressive feelings, can you, I would like to see a psychologist, or a psychiatrist, or a psychotherapist, or whatever there is.
Well, the part I like about this is the fact that, on this website it's 113online.nl, and there, in fact, you can anonymously, without revealing your identity, you can talk to somebody, you can express your feelings, and you can get a response back, and then you might get some treatment as well to help you go through your issues, whatever is on your mind, whatever is bothering you.
Yeah, and the chatting is for free. You can also call there. I think it's 5 cents per minute. It used to be free, but they got less money from the government, but 5 cents. I mean, but you can go there. It's very easily accessible.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, our time is up. We have a few more questions we haven't yet covered, but hopefully we're going to arrange to have you back sometime. Yeah. Once again, Mr. Roderick Bakker, thank you so very much for your time. You've been wonderful, exciting, and we hope to have you back again.
Okay. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, listeners, this segment has just ended. I want to thank you so very much for your attention, but we're not just leaving, we'll be leaving very soon, but we'll play some music in the meantime. If you have any questions about this topic, feel free to give us a call on 0684-606-550, or drop us a line at voiceofnaija@live.com. voiceofnaija@live.com. Now stick around, we'll be back shortly.